And welcome to this week's Gamers on Game. I have the great opportunity to be speaking with Andrew Mueller.
Hello, Nada.
Thank you, Andrew.
It's good to be here.
It's great to have you. I'm really excited. I've been looking forward to our interview. You're here because you are one of the organizers of TechRaising.
That's right.
And we just had the TechRaising event. Is it a yearly event?
Yeah, right now it's a yearly event. We're looking at doing more tech raisings, whether it's more frequently here in Santa Cruz and or elsewhere.
And what the heck is TechRaising?
TechRaising is it's a weekend-long event where designers, developers, programmers, business people, entrepreneurs, people with ideas get together and pitch each other their ideas. They pitch on Friday night, and over the they have 90 seconds to pitch their ideas to the rest of the audience. So after they pitch their ideas, everyone's finished. They get a chance to go ahead and mingle and talk to each other about their ideas. And organically, teams form to build out what I call a minimum viable demo, something they can show at the end at Sunday at 4 p.m. It goes on 24 hours a day until Sunday. Some people leave, some people sleep, some people don't.
So it's 72 hours total, would you say?
No,
Friday,
48.
48. Friday afternoon to Sunday afternoon.
Correct.
And this took place this year and last year at the Cruzio building.
Yes, it took at Cruzio Works, the co-working space at Cruzio downtown in the old Sentinel building. It's a tremendous, wonderful space. Has broadband, fiber internet. So we have internet connection faster than anywhere else in the county. And it has amazing wireless, which is really what we need to put on such an event.
So, Andrew, this is the second year.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, there have been some great successes.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing what people can do when you put them together with each other and you take away really ego and you're all there for a common cause and you're aligning around values and you're aligning around things that interest you. Last year we had somewhere like 36 pitches at the beginning of the event. It was our first year. And 8 team forms and demoed at the end of the event. We ended up having 2 subsequently getting funding for that. One enough to take her and her team of developers through development for an entire year.
Would you mind sharing with us what was that project?
That project was All Together Now by Lauren Gogarty.
And
it's still going on.
What does that mean? What is All Together Now?
It was a project about a project management tool specifically for web projects. So project management tools are often very generic. You could use it for any kind of project, whether it be a marketing project or a
construction project.
Yes, exactly. Right. So this is, web projects have certain things that are very unique to them. So the whole idea was to give people on web project teams a tool that was specifically made to help them get their job done.
Wow. So are a lot of applications made during this weekend?
Yeah, this past TechRaising, we had 30 or 31 pitches, and we had 18 demos at the end of the weekend.
That's really successful.
Yeah, it was pretty phenomenal. We had iPad apps, we had websites or web applications, actually. We had, some amazing stuff. We had a high-tech quadrocopter equipped with sound.
A high-tech quadrocopter, like a helicopter.
Yeah, it's a toy quadrocopter, and the idea was the person who brought that to TechRaising wanted to equip this with lasers and lights and sound, so he could fly his quadrocopter over his head and have it play his music to him with the light show. All kinds of things could happen there. It's not only about web projects, although, that's more on the lighter side of things. Most of the things are kind of more of an entrepreneurial tool that's going to go out there and make, potentially go out there and create jobs in Santa Cruz and beyond and give to the community.
You're listening to Gamers on Game. I have the great pleasure of speaking with Andrew Mueller, one of the co-creators of the Santa Cruz TechRaising. Is that correct?
That's right.
That's right. And you co-created that with two other people.
Yes, with Margaret Rosas and Matthew Swinnerton.
And the three of you got together. Why? Tell us, how did that happen?
So Margaret Rosas has been a long-term supporter of the Santa Cruz tech community. She really has a vision about how Santa Cruz houses or is a home to many very credible, talented tech people. We all know Santa Cruz for being housing a lot of creativity, but we have, tech people who have made their homes here, who made fortunes over the hill, who have gotten tremendous expertise working for Silicon Valley companies, and they choose to, live here now. Margaret had started something called the Santa Cruz Geeks, which is really a mailing list. It's a website also that is open to anyone in Santa Cruz to join, or has anyone who has a relationship to Santa Cruz to join. And they just have to state why they believe they are a geek, which is kind of a broad thing. I'm not sure why I'm a geek, but I'm part of it.
I have a very good friend, Lyle Troxel, who defines geek as a passion. Anyone who has a real passion for something, that can just geek out on it, like just really works at it, kind of obsessively.
Yes, there's obsession is definitely part of it. But to continue on with the story, Margaret has spoken up at many different events. She spoke up about 2 years ago at a new tech meetup in town. She talked about her vision for the town and how Santa Cruz needed a media outlet, and it kind of encouraged me to speak with her, because I've been hearing this from Margaret and other people. I've been part of the Geeks list. I've been seeing these conversations about what should be done taking place. So I decided to talk to Margaret about what would it look like if people stopped talking and started doing. And I proposed the idea of having an event like this, which got people together and just kind of forced them into doing. Right? Of course, they're volunteering this, but the format kind of dictates having something accomplished by the end of the evening. And Matthew, I talked to also about this. And
Swinnerton?
Yeah, Matthew was working at Cruzeiro at the time, and I say Cruzeiro is the perfect venue for it, just for a number of factors. So he was immediately on board with it, and Margaret was on board with it. In fact, she kind of thinks I dared her, which is kind of funny.
You double dared her. And so, Andrew, you've never seen anything else like this?
No, there are things that are similar to this. So there's something called startup weekends, and they happen all over the world, actually. And it's kind of anyone can put on a startup weekend, and they give you a basic kind of plan on how to do it. There's one big difference between TechRaising and startup weekend, in that TechRaising is more to build community and ecosystem. So a startup weekend will have winners, and they will be judged at the end. We do not judge the project. Everyone who participates is a winner. And the idea is for each person to build network and to start an ecosystem where they could go ahead and continue to rely on each other and network with each other and build with each other and so forth. So we have a continuing site that's going on with conversations taking place, so that people are still talking about their projects and what to do, so we can lend a hand. The idea is to really build a more vibrant tech community here in Santa Cruz.
And so, Andrew, the event took place, was it April 20th?
Yes.
April 20th, 21st, and 22nd was the event. And again, it was at Cruzeiro Works.
Yes,
and
downtown.
it was really exciting to be there. And it was interesting because I saw several friends of mine who hadn't heard about TechRaising except for like maybe a couple days before, and came just to volunteer their services. They didn't even have an idea. They just wanted to come as programmers to help some other idea that they wanted to get behind.
Yeah, I think that's called geek values.
Geek values.
People really, especially in Santa Cruz, I mean, like I mentioned before, people have been very successful in tech, and they kind of want to give back, and they kind of want to be part of doing things and helping other people realize their dreams.
And there was food.
Yeah, we sticking with the community feel. We bought pretty much all the food from local venues: India Joe's, The Buttery, Hoffman's.
And there was
Pizza My Heart.
Pizza My Heart. I remember there was some pizza.
Yeah, and
So you keep them fed the whole weekend.
Yeah, it's really important. Fed and beverages, and caffeine and
other things. Yes. And then people some people brought their sleeping bags.
I'm not sure how many people slept there this year. Last year we did have air mattresses and sleeping bags.
And so, how long were you there? Were you there as much as obviously as much as you could be? Were you there?
I was there. I got about 4 hours of sleep each night. Let's put it that way.
Wow. And so, how early did people get back going?
Some people were there at 7. Some people rolled in at 8, 9, 10. Some people kind of went home and worked from home. If their teams kind of dispersed. So it's.
It was all different kinds.
Yeah.
And then you also had classes, right? Presentations from people?
We had a workshop. So a friend, Jose Caballero, came up from L.A. He is the creative genius behind the group, and now he runs a web education. It's kind of a project called The School, and his idea is to help educate people on web projects, very very cost effectively and easily on the internet.
So that's what he gave the workshop on?
He gave a workshop on the new school startup, and it was a cross between agile development concepts and the customer development process, right? So before you could really develop a web project, you have to really define who your audience is, who's going to be using this project. So how do you do that? What do they look like? So part of that really gets into, what are the different types of user classes we're looking at? Well, we might have a woman who's 45, who has 3 kids, who works part-time. Kids are about to move out of the house. We really get into what that story is. He was genius at how he did that. And you define them, and then the agile development is a concept of saying, okay, you need to achieve this by what time. You have 15 minutes to run a sprint, and we went through exercises on that. So that took place. I'm sorry, that wasn't a really great description. So, and the whole idea is you have to get from one place to the next stage, and then you reevaluate, you set your next goals, and run another sprint. And different members of the team might be working on different sections of this, rather than everyone being involved in every decision, which really is very hard to do on web projects.
And agile meaning easily maneuverable. So.
It's a development methodology. For web development.
And so that happened Saturday at 10 o'clock, the workshop?
Yes, that was Saturday from 10 till 12, went a little over. We had 40 people in the workshop. It was the largest workshop that Jose ran by himself. If he does large workshops, he'll usually have a couple other assistants. People loved it. It was amazing the comments we got. Actually, it was amazing the comments we got about the whole weekend.
Excellent. I'm so glad. Like I said, being there and feeling the energy, it was so exciting. And then Sunday, things started wrapping up, and then you had the
we had the
show
demos.
and tell, the demos, and that was at 4 o'clock on Sunday.
Right. We weren't expecting 18, so we had to kind of shift the format slightly to accommodate and make sure we had enough time for everyone. So the teams had 4 minutes to demo. And then we had a panel of advisors or mentors. That's the other thing I didn't mention, but remind me to go back to that. So the mentors gave feedback. We didn't have time for the audience questions, which we would have liked to have done. So the mentors would give feedback on they might ask a question. They might say, this is great. Have you thought about X or whatever it is, which was really helpful to the individual teams, but it's also helpful for the audience to hear, well, this is where they're going. Oh yeah, I should think about that with my project. So throughout the course of the weekend, we had mentors. We had about 12 mentors. We had VCs come in, angel investors. We had branding specialists, communication specialists, web designers, very famous gamer.
Remind me about that later too.
Okay. So, and they came in and they basically walk around and talk to the teams. And the idea is to ask them questions and then start a discussion, a dialogue, so that what can emerge out of that is is where they could share some light or their expertise.
Right. And these are all mentors from the community.
Right. We also had VCs come in. We had somebody, Alexander Cohen, who wrote a book called, it's not coming to my head right now. It was on the front page of the Sentinel, so you could pick it up. It was about how to start up a company, startup methodologies. And we had
VCs being venture capitalists.
Right, and angel investors being very early stage investors in startup companies.
So angel investors are more when you have a concept and are starting to develop that, and maybe the venture capitalists are more after you have a demo that you can show?
No, angel investors often want to see a demo too. VCs come in after you have traction for your idea, after you've proven you have an audience, you've proven a market, and then they come in and they give you a lot more money. So instead of giving you, $250,000 to $1 million, they might come in and give you, $5 to $10 million.
Right.
So it's a different structure.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's a little less. Angels is even more of a risk than VCs who come in.
Right. And anything else you want to say about the mentors?
We had a Microsoft BizSpark come in, which is their emerging business unit, and they came in and talked, and they were very impressed about what they saw. They came in from over the hill, so hopefully they'll sponsor next year. We had tremendous sponsors as well, and I'd name them all, although I'm kind of afraid of maybe missing one. So,
Right. So where could we go to get more information? TechRaising.com?
TechRaising.com is where our website is, yes. That's the best place. And sign up for the mailing list on the bottom of the site, and that way we can keep you informed.
And that's also for the Geek Speak, or not Geek Speak, the Geek Margaret's...
The Google group?
Uh-huh.
If you search Santa Cruz Geeks, you should be able to find that.
Okay. And so you're doing it, this was the second year.
Yes.
You're looking forward to doing it again.
Absolutely.
It was that great of a success, and it was that much fun.
Yeah. It's really, right now, it's a philanthropic thing. We are, it's giving back to the community. It is not set up in a form that makes money. The tickets are extremely inexpensive. $79 for the entire weekend, including all the food. The workshop itself would cost numerous multiples of that if you were to take that on your own.
Right.
And we have things like student discounts to enable students to and encourage them to come. It's a great place, great way for students to come down and interact with the local tech community. We really do have a great tech community here, and we need to bridge that divide between the hill and the city.
And did you get many students this year?
We got a handful, not as many as we would have liked. It's kind of hard. I think weekends are a tough thing for a student to give up.
Right. Well, I know you had mentioned Graham Devine being one of the famous gamers that came, and
yes.
We've got some fantasies of doing a game jam type tech raising, where it would be instead of having it very open for all different kinds of apps and that kind of thing, it would be they do game jams up here. They had the World Game Jam here in January.
It would be a themed type of tech raising.
A themed tech raising. That's right.
It would be a great idea.
So, Andrew, you're seeing this maybe moving into a place where maybe you can at least make your money back.
No, we were able to make our money. I'm gonna go. The sponsors were tremendous. I'm gonna name them, and if I mix somebody, I'm sorry already. But Product Ops came in very early, and they helped, and they basically made it so that we knew we'd be okay no matter what, and we could put the hundreds of hours that it would take to make this thing happen and not lose money. Nextbase was wonderful. Of course, Cruzio as being the infrastructure partner that provided the facilities and the space and the internet and the wireless and the lights. And then all the food vendors that we talked about, the local food people. We paid them, but they gave us a good deal.
All right.
And also Plastic Trophy and Redfish and who am I forgetting? I know I'm forgetting somebody.
If you forget anybody, I'm going to have it on the artistonart.com website and Gamers on Games, so no worries. We'll make sure everyone is given their They're due.
Okay, great.
And then
Thank you.
again, techraising.com. You'll have, I know there was a lot of video taken during the weekend.
Yes, we're going to be putting that up.
And you'll be able to see some of that.
As time allows.
As time allows.
We had another interesting thing. Gary Harmon, he has a company in town called
Jabico,
right? He came to me on Saturday and said he went through something called the Founders Institute, and that is put on by started by a man named Adeo Resi, and that's up in Palo Alto, and basically it's boot camp for startups. I mean, really, it's they push them really, really hard, but they expose them to a tremendous network in Silicon Valley and beyond, and they come out the other side with a crash course understanding of what it takes to be a successful startup. So we're kind of TechRaising is like pre Founders Institute, pre any of these other things that your startup could go through, pre angel funding, all that kind of stuff. It's really when you have a kernel idea. But the Founders Institute came, and Adeo Resi wanted to give any TechRaising team a free application to apply for the Founders Institute, and will award one of the teams a scholarship to attend, and that's a $1,500 value.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah.
So, Andrew, we only have a minute or two left. Can you tell us just a range of the type of products that are ideas that came to fruition at the end? Yeah,
I can. So we had a new way of digital storytelling for books. It's a Lithomobilis is what it was called, and it's a way so you could have a book, and it's going to be hard to tell in this amount of time, but you could read it from the point of view of any character in that book, and only that point of view, and only digital will enable that.
Yeah.
And Lisa Quintana ended up with an iPad app, which was the kernel to that, and of how you would kind of envision or how you would move around between the different characters, so you could flip from Frodo or somebody else on that, and that to another tool for ride sharing, so you could find a ride from one place to another place very easily with trusted people, to a system to sharing your items you have at home that you're not using with your Facebook friends, and list them and know what's out, who has what, so you could enable shared items through a community.
Oh, thank you so much.
Bad description, but...
Hey, more details online. Thank you so much, Andrew Mueller, organizer, creator of TechRaising, one of three, Margaret Rosas and Matthew Swinnerton. Thank you so much for coming on Gamers on Game and sharing with us the wonderful work that you're doing with TechRaising.
Thanks for having me. Been a lot of fun.
Yeah, next year let's try to do it before TechRaising so that everyone can come too.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you.
Everybody stay tuned for Scream. It's a Scream. Dream Scream. Thanks for listening and have a great day.